You're watching The Compulsive Gun Buyer. If you've been following this channel at all, you know we've done several scope comparisons. Today's video is another scope comparison. We have some new scopes, and it's going to be a different test. We're going to be viewing my homemade eye chart at 100 yards. We're going to use 6 different scopes. I'm going to show you each one individually, and then I'll show you all 6 scopes on the same screen. Now, the caveat is we took this footage over a 30-minute period at sunset. So the lighting conditions are varied, and none of them are going to be ideal. Now, it's important to know how your scopes perform in lower lighting conditions. So that's going to be a good test, but the comparability between shots is diminished. However, to mitigate this, I use the Lux app on my phone. I held my phone up to the side of the scope. I'll show you some footage. And I read the Lux reading. I don't really know how this app works. The main thing is that I use the same method to read the lighting conditions for each of the scopes. And so that adds some amount of comparability. This will also allow us to use this footage in the future to compare against other scopes when the lighting conditions are the same or similar. So let's get to it. So first up we have the GLX. This is the 2.5 to 10. You've seen this in previous videos. Got 350 showing on the Lux app. So we go into 10x, and we can see the third line pretty clearly. So here I'm actually changing the parallax, and I want you to watch closely as the letters will go in and out of focus. All right, we're at 1,000 parallax, 500, 300, 200, 150, 100 parallax. See if that sharpens up those. 75, 60, 50, 25. That's the bottom. Go back to 100 and leave it there. Pulling back to 6x. So here's a close-up now of what you could see at the 10x. This is zoomed in. This is still 10x through the scope, but I've just blown it up on the screen. 6x. So you can see here at 6x, it is a little bit harder to read the letters, so magnification does make a difference, not just clarity. Okay, we're zooming in here with the VCOG. Obviously it tops out at 6x, so we're stopping. You can see first and second rows. You can almost make out the third row, but it's very faint and very hard to make out clearly. But you can definitely read the top and second row. Now, the top line is 6 inches tall, then 4 inches for the second, 3 for the third, 2 inches for the fourth, and then 1 for that last line, 1 inch. All right, here's the primary arms SLX 1 to 6. I've got another video that compares the VCOG against this, and you can definitely tell in that video and then even here that clarity is just not the same at all. The SLX is definitely inferior. I will note that I had adjusted the diopter to my eye for each of these scopes before filming here. So here you can really just barely make out the top 2 rows, really only the top row clearly, but you could read the second row probably. Okay, here we're zooming in with the Razer 1 to 6, and this is not a scope that we've seen in previous videos, so this is definitely an interesting one to compare with the other 1 to 6s we have here. Now, I'd say it looks darker than the VCOG, but that's because it is darker. I wouldn't blame the scope for that. Again, you can make out the top 2 rows. Third row, not really at all, not as clearly as you could in the VCOG, and the VCOG was already really hard to see, but again, it's darker. Only 90 showing on the Lux app compared to the 270 we were seeing when we tested the VCOG. Okay, the Razer 1 to 10. This one I actually was able to get at the same Lux reading between the 1 to 10 and the 1 to 6. So we are going to see a side-by-side of these two in a little bit, because that's a very interesting comparison, especially at the 6X. So you can make out the top two rows here at 6X. Third one, again, still in question. I don't know that you really could make it out at 6X. In fact, I don't think you can. Then we'll zoom in here to 10X. And here, we'll do a blow up in a second, but you can actually make out the third row. EFGX17. And again, this is a blow up. It's still 10X. And here it is at 6X. Okay, the NX8. This is only going to have 40 reading on the Lux app. So you can read the top two lines, similar to what we've seen before. Here at 6X. 6X is actually pretty hard to read, the second line even. Zoom into 8X, and you can read the top two lines. Third line, not really. Okay, so now we're gonna put all 6 of these scopes on the same screen. The Lux readings are also visible, so you can see the comparison. We're gonna go from brightest in the top left to dimmest in the bottom right. As promised earlier, now we have the Vortex Razer 1 to 6 and the Vortex Razer 1 to 10. These are both gonna be at 90 on the Lux app. And this is an interesting comparison because the glass is very comparable. I would probably prefer the 1 to 10 actually, but they both look fine. And I definitely have a preference for the reticle of the 1 to 10. And it's worth noting that the 1 to 10 is a first focal plane while the 1 to 6 is a second focal plane optic. And there you have it. Lots of good scope data. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these scopes or if you'd like to see any other particular content. Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Definitely helps the channel. Really appreciate when you do that. I love seeing and reading your comments. I'll catch you later.